Sacrifices are exchanges you make in order to achieve your goals, whatever they may be. For me, I make 4 sacrifices in order to achieve my goals in boxing. I sacrifice my time, my money, my physical health, and my personal comfort. Being aware of this, I position myself in a way so that these sacrifices don't become overwhelming and risk hurting me rather than helping me. Obviously, as a boxer, I put my body on the line every day. And the reason why I put my body on the line every day is because I leave myself at risk to injuries such as concussions, broken bones, dislocated shoulders, dislocated joints, sprains. I've seen for myself people go through concussions and it absolutely take away everything that they've wanted to achieve. I've seen people have concussions and they're not able to box at all anymore. And I've even gone through a concussion and I had to stop boxing for about 3 years. And in a way, I'm glad that I went through that concussion because it taught me the importance of really listening and taking care of your body and being smart in your training and knowing when to let off the gas a bit, learning to control your desire and hunger to get in the ring and just absolutely let everything out and show your hunger. It's good to have that, but you have to control that. Personally, for me to control that, I make sure that I listen to my body. If I feel even the slightest feeling of being burnt out, or in my last sparring, I've noticed that I've taken too many punches or more punches than I've liked to, then the next week, instead of sparring twice, I'll spar once. Or I might not even spar, I'll just light spar. I'll just do touch. You know, that's something that everyone could benefit from, is just listening to their body. But most people don't. They think as a fighter you have to push through the pain and ignore when your body's telling you no. But that's not true, for me at least. I find that I've proven to myself that I can withstand physical pressure. I have that knowledge and I keep it reserved for my fights, which is when I should and when I do show that I'm able to withstand physical pressure. So the next category that is a sacrifice for me as a boxer is my time. Training takes up all of my time. 6 days of the week I'm in the gym, giving my time to being the best I can be. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only 24 hours in a day. So every day I wake up, I go to the gym, then I go to work, and then I come back from work. I squeeze in a quick nap if I can, and then I go to the gym, and then I do it all over again. So my time is very precious to me because I have to prioritize it towards my training. It's a huge sacrifice because I have to sacrifice the time that I want to take to build my personal relationships with the people around me, and even time for myself, time that I want to take to just relax and do nothing. I can't even do that sometimes. Some days it's just from one task to the next. So that's a big sacrifice, and that's a really important one for me. And there have been times where I haven't prioritize that sacrifice properly, and it's bled into my training in negative ways. It's made me late to trainings before, as much as I hate to say it. It's taking the time to make sure that I go to bed on time, made me not train or perform as much as I know that I could have if I just, for 30 minutes less, took time to not just sit on my phone and do nothing. If I just, as soon as I got home, took a quick nap and then went to the gym, instead of coming home and taking off my work clothes and just scrolling on my phone, and then what do I know, it's already time to go to the gym. So for me, time is a big one. The next category of sacrifices that I make is money. For me, money is a sacrifice because I don't have the liberty of being able to work as much as I want to, and certainly not a job that I want to, in order to make more than enough money than I need to be comfortable and live my everyday life. I work a job right now that pays my bills, pays my gym membership, and keeps food on my table, but it's not as comfortable as it could be. I could have another job, and I did have another job where it was secure financially, especially for my future, and it allowed me to live very comfortably and have more money than I needed at the time. I'm not a big spender, and I don't shop or do anything like that, but it's nice to have just a bit of extra money to, if you want to, be able to spend it and enjoy yourself. But with time being a sacrifice as well, I don't even necessarily have the time, but when I do have the time, I can't enjoy that time as much as I truly want to, with the people that I want to, because my money isn't something that I have as much freedom as I could or that I've had before. So this sacrifice is important for me to know, because every day I have to make sure that I put my money towards my training, towards my diet, and save money on the side, first of all, not for fun, but for things like tournaments and even going to other countries to be able to fight. And by the end of that, there's a very small amount of money that I'm able to have to spend on just having fun and enjoying my life. So because I'm aware of this, it sucks, but I've accepted it, and it gives me peace of mind. And it allows me to understand at the end of the day that this is a sacrifice that, if anything, is important, but also teaches me self-control and learning to enjoy the small things. As hippie as that sounds, it's true. In a way, I'm actually glad that this is a sacrifice that I have to make, which is my money. Also, since I'm in a low commitment job, I have the freedom of being able to take the time to fight and go to tournaments, to go to places in order to gain experience in my boxing career. And if I had a high commitment job, which I've had in the past, well, I definitely wouldn't be able to do any of these things. And I wouldn't have as much fights as I have, and I wouldn't have gained the experience that I have right now. So it's taken away, in a sense, more financial comfort, but it's given me more experience towards the most important thing there is to me in this life, which is boxing. So for the last category, sacrificing my comfort. I'm not gonna be the type of person who is just gonna do what they want whenever they want. And I don't wanna be that type of person, because it's not gonna get me to achieve my boxing goals. One thing I've noticed throughout this small amount of time that I've taken to achieve my boxing goals in my life, I've noticed how a lot of other fighters, this isn't something that they're aware of. And I haven't been aware of it personally a lot of times, but now I am aware of it, and I'm glad I am. I can't just go to bed when I want, because I have times to train, and I have to make sure I get minimum 8 hours of sleep in order to fully recover and feel the best that I can in my following training. Every minute of my day needs to be intentional in order to achieve my goals in the most efficient way possible, and in order to actually feel the progress that I'm building every day in the gym. Because if I'm not intentional with my time, I'll be seeking more comfort naturally, and the urge to be more comfortable will become greater, and that's not gonna lead me to being tightened up on my things and being able to keep my discipline that I need in order to go to the next step that I need to do throughout my day, throughout my week, throughout the month, to achieve my boxing goals, whether it be my next fight, my next tournament, my next training even. So with all these sacrifices being said, I find that for me it's important to remember that I'm not perfect, and I'm gonna continue to make mistakes. And whether I like it or not, depending on the day, some of these sacrifices will be harder to make than others. And it's a tough pill to swallow, because everyone would like to think that they're the most disciplined that they can be, but that's not the case, for me at least. All these sacrifices are things that keep me in check and allow me to achieve my goals in the most efficient way possible. But at the end of the day, one thing that I remind myself is that I'm doing this to be able to do this as long as I can and as best as I can. I've seen really good fighters have really high highs, and they're so talented and they're hard workers, but because they didn't keep their own personal sacrifices in check, they burnt out or they fell off the wagon. And for me, I find that I've been able to rack up a good amount of fights for a short period of time, only because I simplified my goal with 4 sacrifices: time, money, personal comfort, and my physical body, my physical health. So it is worth it in the end to have all these sacrifices and to dedicate myself to this. Although it sucks most of the time, it's worth it, because if I do crash, well, it's not that much of a crash, because I have my 4 main sacrifices that I always fall back on. So if it weren't for these sacrifices that, for the most part, aren't that fun, I wouldn't have had this steady progress that I'm having right now, and this continued desire that I have and passion for the sport.